Okay, it's day 125. This is part three. And the first stop, or one of the first stops I make when I go to Washington, D.C., is I go to this Lightbridge Communications. Lightbridge Communications, Imran Awan had that on his resume. He also had this company called Cellplan on his resume, which was associated with Tahir Javid. And because I had a background in technology, I immediately gravitated toward that, and I had done a lot on DynCore. So you could literally see this building within the shadow of DynCore's new building. So I went there initially before I actually went to the houses, and I was trying to figure out why would an Indian drug company, Tech Mahindra, big in pharmaceuticals and so forth, and with this kind of silent ownership by this Ibrahim, this drug warlord, okay, that kind of is both in Pakistan and India, have cell towers in Virginia. It just seemed very odd. And there was the cell hacking stories of Imran Awan hacking his mother-in-law and so forth. I thought, why would somebody in the drug business and a drug lord hack cell towers? And I thought, well, that would be good to know where law enforcement is. It would be good to hack in to get deals. And you can see I just typed in George Webb Lightbridge Communications, and up came up the Tech Mahindra acquisition of LCC. And it said 700 employees. It just makes good sense that a drug company should buy a cell tower company. And I thought, it would only really make sense if you already had 700 extra EB5s that you didn't, want to, didn't have a use for. You could bring 700 people into the country. I also met Jason about a month later, and you could see I was still very much on this idea that the Owans were very technically oriented, and they were bringing in technical people, routers to rat lines. It was all about the EB5 and bringing people in during that. And also, I just want to compliment Jason again for his great direction skills. Number one, the whole idea of a studio in a gym bag, but then also great interviewing skills. He really brought out some great things in that interview, and then he cut it. We had about an hour and 40 minutes. I think he cut down to 40 minutes, and just a meticulous job there, and well done. So if you don't remember Tech Mahindra, they're in all these top tens in biotech, 3 of the top 5. Pharmaceuticals, 3 of the top 5, all these strategic partnerships, etc. But then I always look down at the bottom. I always go to the bottom and kind of read up. That's what they kind of want to hide. They do all the packaging for drug companies, and they also do the serialization, which prevents fraud. And I'm thinking, this is a drug lord, a Pakistan Indian drug lord, who's done all these bombings and so forth, that's in control of this. This is not a good thing. So if you don't remember the episode, it starts out, I put the packaging there now. Later I've gone back and put the true dates on there. And you can see it starts looking
I'm not sure if you can see DynCore's new...
And that's the new building there for DynCore. Sorry about the echo. So, quickly, here's Mylan Pharmaceuticals. You may have a relationship with Tech Mahindra for labeling and so forth. We need to learn more about it. But there's no doubt about the fact that they were just written up in their nearby Mumbai plant for not doing the correct serialization, data management. But here is their situation. They've got 40 different plants. Mylan, this key generics maker in the United States, based in West Virginia, has 40 different plants and worldwide operations. All these different pharmaceutical plants, oral dose sites, etc. And fentanyl obviously is one of the big industries for Mylan. Okay, so we're going to take you on a little train ride. We're going to start in Charlottesville, where the members of Congress got derailed. Okay, and just so you remember that. Oh, here's Mumbai here. This is where all the bombings have happened that Ibrahim has done to make sure the ports stay open. And here's Karachi over here, which is really his home base of operations. And he kind of operates in this area, in kind of this what I would call Punjab area, if for lack of a better word. I would say the old Mughal Empire, if I had to say. So let's start you on the train. Here we're going to make sure, act like the train never derailed, and we're going to get you over here to the Monongahela Forest. We're going to take a left at this Green Bank Observatory. What's that? Well, it's a huge radio telescope operation. It's so secret for the Navy that they don't even let you use your cell phone when you're there. So, for instance, you can see here at the National Radio Observatory, Astronomy Observatory, they're looking out in deep space, but they're also looking at weather patterns, looking at the sun for weather patterns and so forth. Immediately, you can start seeing how you could use some of this information for buying futures on the crop markets and so forth, and all sorts of different looks at deep science. I worked with a guy where we did a lot of data reduction and data mining, and he actually worked in Caltech, and he found a lot of galaxies just through mathematical techniques. So anyway, I didn't know him very well, but he was very brilliant data reduction guy, data mining guy. So here's the Greenbrier. This is where they made all their speeches and so forth. This is also in White Sulphur Springs. This is where you go if there was a nuclear war. And that's where they would go. I think the current location is closer to here. Now, they might have actually been doing a drill when they were going up there, and this may be the new location. Maybe not. Here's Kingston. Kingston's where the Delta Force trains. This is where David Petraeus has a lot of contacts from the old Delta Force days. Rangers are always in first, unless you're David Petraeus watching from the safety of the Green Bank Observatory. But then here's Clarksburg. Here's where we got probably some HEU for Bob, highly enriched uranium. And this is also where I went to the gates and said, I believe that the laptops, Imran Awan's laptops are here, the cell phones are here, etc. You're going to find it all here. Hillary's server here, Huma's server here. And then finally, if you go up just a little further to Morgantown near Mylan Pharmaceutical, that's where you get to the kind of the headquarters of Mylan Pharmaceuticals. Now, Mylan Pushkar was the guy who started this. Very poor guy. Starts with nothing and creates one of the largest generics, I think they're number 2 in the world, companies in the world. How does that happen? Well, Mylan hired spies. Bottom line, Mylan hired Navy Intel and Army Intel spies. He may have stolen my dad's patent. My dad's patent found its way out to Motorola, that's for sure, and some other folks. But anyway, he stole patents. He stole patents for drugs. He stole patents for almost everything, and he became a powerhouse with generics. That's how he was able to come out with generics so quickly, and also tech patents. Is this the Tech Mahindra of India? Isn't that the same thing? Do drug lords have a problem stealing somebody else's information, stealing their intellectual property, and then taking advantage of it themselves by selling at cut rates because their cost of goods is zero? Yes, I think so. I think there's an affinity between Mylan and Tech Mahindra. But we'll get more to that later. There's your telephone booth at the Green Hills Observatory. If you want to, you can't bring a cell phone in the county. You're followed and told, turn off your cell phone. Great place to have meetings if you don't want to get hacked. Now, I'm going to leave it there for right now. This is going to be more background, but I'm just going to say that there's some offshore corporations that have come to light in Sacramento. I'm not saying this is Becerra, but some offshore corporations have come to light in the Panama Papers, and that'll be coming out soon. Okay, so that's your wind-up for looking at why would you have a company with cell towers in Virginia that's owned by an Indian drug company. Is there a connection between who's doing the hacking? This isn't just Imran Awan. This is state sponsorship. Someone in state sponsorship, someone who's got a background in hacking and doesn't mind stealing intellectual property and doesn't mind taking over intellectual property like new drug design, and new drug invention. Someone is supporting his efforts here at Lightbridge Communications. Did Imran really work at Lightbridge, or was he just having a resume or these 700 people coming in on EB5s? Isn't that the same thing that happened with CellPlan? Wasn't he getting them loans as they got into the Congressional Federal Credit Union, Navy Credit Union, the other credit unions? Isn't that what really happened?